Hello and welcome to the Gambler Betting Podcast. I'm SelectBet and this is our double bill edition of the podcast covering matches in Norway and Scotland this weekend. How's it going, Greg? How's it going, David?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Thank you, good.
Yep,
Can't
good.
believe
We're
we're at the end of the season already.
Yeah, Norway. I know I was just going to say, Greg, we're at the last round of matches in Norway. We've got a card in Scotland, Greg. We just don't know how badly it's going to be affected by the weather. The weather's expected to hit well into the minuses this weekend before kick-off, which is shorts weather in Norway, David.
I mean, it's literally not been plus here for over a month. So yeah.
And we're expecting the card to be wiped out, Greg, this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. Decimated card this weekend. Not expecting many matches to go ahead. It's -5 again tonight, -5 tomorrow night. I'd be surprised out of the 18 games that are due to go ahead on Saturday if any more than 4 or 5 did, which is a real shame.
Yeah, we'll cover some of the games. We've got a couple of tips up on the channel. We're just not quite sure if they're going to go ahead, but we won't be wasting too much time on games in the lower leagues anyway, which we think probably won't survive. But we'll cover Norway first, David. We're into the last round of fixtures this season in the Eliteserien. Still plenty to play for at the top and at the bottom. Both Glimt obviously got the title already, so not, but there's plenty to play for in terms of chasing a European place and trying to avoid the drop at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Brann, Tromsø and Viking still in the hunt for second and third place, which is the European spots. They all won last week, importantly. And it leaves, basically a last day shootout. If Tromsø and Brann both win, then they both get into Europe next year, which is obviously a fantastic achievement for them. At the bottom, I think that's where most of the excitement is. Four goes into 2. In some way or the other. Vålerenga play Tromsø, which is by far the hardest game for any of them. Sandefjord play Lillestrøm, which is extremely interesting given the history between Vålerenga and Lillestrøm this season, and obviously the big rivalry. And Stabæk play Haugesund, pretty much loser goes down or is in the relegation playoff. So yeah, some massive games in Norway this weekend.
Haugesund will be kicking themselves, won't they? They were almost home and dry a few weeks ago. Needed a point last week and they lost at Tromsø. I guess there's no shame in losing away to Tromsø, but they could find themselves in a really difficult position come quarter-to-6 on Sunday. They could go down. Go down, which is really
they can go from 12th to 15th if they lose. I mean, in fairness, they lost.
The odds are in their favour.
Yeah, they lost at Lillestrøm, tough game. They lost against Brann, tough game, and they lost at Tromsø, another tough game. So they've had 3 tough games. But yeah, this week home to Stabæk, it's going to be an absolute. Yeah, it's all to play for. It's going to be an absolute classic.
Yeah, and that's as good a place as any to start in terms of the games that we're going to look at this week. David, last week, Stabæk, what a result for them, a 2-1 win, a 97th minute Kevin Cabran winner at Sandefjord, and that's just made the world of difference to them going into this weekend.
Yeah, just absolutely massive. 96th minute, as you say, it was a pretty even game. 2 teams battling out to try and avoid the drop. And he texted me at the time, the Bob Bradley working his magic, and Stabæk again, giving themselves a right good chance to automatically avoid the drop, and even better, it looks like. I mean, actually, maybe it doesn't even look like a draw would be enough to put them in the playoff. Even a draw might not be enough to keep them out of the 15th spot. So yeah, they've given themselves a chance going into the last day, and that's pretty much all you could ask for.
Yeah, try to do some maths before we come on here, Greg. I think it would have been better having Carol Vorderman on here than us three. Try to work out all the permutations as to who can stay up and who's going to.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there?
Yeah,
there is a lot, but it should be a fascinating final match day. Last weekend in Norway, all 8 matches went over 1.5, and we were just 1 goal short in the Vålerenga match for over 2.5 goals. The bookies taking no chances this week, absolutely none whatsoever. We're only getting 18-1 on all 8 matches over 2.5 goals, which is an absolute disgrace. But on Vålerenga though, they did the business last week, which was good, and it allows us to get into this match day 30 with lots to play for still.
Yeah, and just on the big games at the bottom of that, obviously Haugesund v home to Tromsø, massive game for both clubs actually. Tromsø still chasing Europa Conference League spot, so they're looking for a win there. And yeah, we've got Sandefjord at home to Lillestrøm. Touching on that Haugesund Stabæk game, David, a draw, as you say, might see both teams eventually ending up going down.
Yeah, I mean it's a really interesting game. A draw suits neither. I think a draw might be enough. It might be enough for both. It might be not enough for both of them. So basically, if Stabæk and Haugesund draw, and Vålerenga and Sandefjord both win, so that leaves Stabæk in 15th and Haugesund in 14th. Simple as that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really interesting game. I think it's going to be feisty. Stabæk going away to Haugesund, it won't be easy. Haugesund have generally been a decent home team, 6 wins from their 14 home games this year, so they've got 20 of their 30 points at home. So they've been doing most of their damage there. Stabæk's away form, pretty shoddy, 1 win out of 14. That's just 8 points they've picked up on the road this year. So Haugesund are rightly favourites, and I wouldn't back them at the price because I think it's a really tough game to pick with obviously so much on the line. So what I had a wee look at was just some of the card markets, some of the players that I thought might be involved in a midfield scrap, which it could well turn out to be. And the two I picked out were Kevin Kriegord from Haugesund. He's been booked 4 times this season, sent off once. And he's been playing in midfield since the new manager took over. And the other one is Stabæk's Carlos Edwards. Curtis Edwards.
That's a great name, David. Paul and I can say that. That's great.
Yeah,
Curtis Edwards.
Curtis Edwards. Curtis Edwards as well. Just plays in midfield, quite slow. I could see him maybe pulling somebody back later on in the game in a counter attack or something. And I think he's been booked 4 times as well this season, but he'll be playing in the midfield. The two of them together to get booked is 25-1. And I think in a game where I can just see there being bookings this weekend in this game, it's going to be feisty. There's so much on the line for both of them that I can see it getting a bit tasty. And two players that are primed for getting booked for 25-1. I'll take some of that.
It's a real shame that we don't get team cards.
Yes,
here.
We
get player card markets, but we don't get team card markets. And like you say, last game of the season in some of these matches, there's going to be cards and plenty of them. That said, you probably get a pretty low line, a pretty high line, in some of these games. But I think you're absolutely right. I don't think you can back any of the sides to win these games, and especially in this match where it's so important. I think cards, goals, corners, definitely the right approach to take.
Yeah, I should just had a wee look back. Kevin Kriegord got sent off in the game away at Stabæk, so obviously there's something good on there.
Yeah, so Kevin Kriegord and Carlos
Curtis Edwards. Curtis Eddie Edwards. Yeah.
I mean, I guess cards isn't the worst angle in a do or die game like this, David. Greg, you quite fancy corners though?
Yeah, I do. A bit like last week's game for Stabæk. It was Sandefjord they played. I think there was 13 or 14 in that match. I just think the dynamics of this match, whoever goes behind is going to have to go for it. So I think in that respect, over 10.5 corners is 11-10. I must admit, I was very surprised to see the line set as low as that for two sides that don't hit that low numbers. So obviously, given how important this game is as well, every chance we see 11 corners in this game. And I think that was a nice price. I think a lot of the lines this year have been set at over 11.5. So to get 10.5 in a crucial game like this, both sides hitting decent numbers as well, more than happy to back that at 11-10.
Yeah, I looked at that myself. I quite like that, and it was quite similar thing on the Vålerenga game. Two teams that need to win will be attacking no matter what the score is. So I thought that was two games that really stood out for me in the corner front.
Yeah, it'd be nice to end the season with a nice corners winning bet, Greg.
Yeah, I think corners has been a good mainstay for the channel now for God, 2-3 seasons anyway. In fact, probably since we started, to be fair. We do enjoy a corners angle, and it's worked really well for us in whatever league we bet on, especially on the bet builder. But I know in Norway, it's definitely a league we've enjoyed backing corners on.
Absolutely. We'll recap these bets at the end of the podcast. Let's have a wee look at the other vital game down there at the bottom and at the top. It's Vålerenga v Tromsø. And I think I said to you, David, before we started recording here, that things are both in Vålerenga's hands but also out of Vålerenga's hands. Bottom line is they must win this one.
Yeah, they absolutely have to win. There's no other result that saves them. I just think that they couldn't have asked for a harder fixture. I don't think.
It's a terrible game, isn't it? It's a terrible game. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much, apart from Brann and Viking, those three, anyone else, and they would have taken it, I think. Just a team like Tromsø coming in good form, coming needing a win to get into a European spot for the first time in a good number of years. I just think it's a horrible fixture for Vålerenga in front of what will be a full crowd, expecting crowd, expecting them to stay up.
Yeah, I guess the same is true for Tromsø as well, though, David. It's a horrible fixture for them to be having to go to Vålerenga.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. In a game they needed to win. They needed to win to get European spot. They would have liked a team with nothing to play for. Absolutely. One thing about Vålerenga, they do sit level in points with Sandefjord, but what I will say is Sandefjord are playing Lillestrøm this weekend. So Geir Bakke, a lot of us have seen the tifo that Geir Bakke was put up in the Lillestrøm Vålerenga game. He's the former Lillestrøm manager. He left to go to huge rivals Vålerenga this year. The chance for Lillestrøm to let Sandefjord win and put Vålerenga in the relegation mire is just it's too hard to avoid. And the bookies have seen it as well. They put Sandefjord at 1.55. So they're not messing about. But I don't see a chance Lillestrøm go there and get a result. Like they don't want to. Like there's absolutely no way they want to. So I can't see anything other than a Sandefjord win, which means Vålerenga need to win. Need to win to get out of the relegation zone, and they've not been good enough. They've not been good enough at home this year.
The bookies have got the same view also. Just above 1-2 now, I think, for Sandefjord to win this match, which is quite remarkable given where they are in the league. But as I said last week, it's not really about what's happened in the past. This is all about now and getting results. So I can understand why Sandefjord are so short. And as David said, that rivalry piece really comes into the mix here. And obviously it puts huge pressure also on Vålerenga, knowing that they're going to get no favours from Lillestrøm in this match. But yeah, it's just above 1-2 for Sandefjord, and I think based on that, you have to be backing them.
Yeah. And we should say now, Lyn Oslo waiting in Obos-ligaen for Vålerenga to drop down. They beat Hood. They beat Hood 3-0 in the first leg the other day, so they're almost certainly waiting for Vålerenga to drop down and join them for an Oslo party next year for the Gambler Boys.
Yeah, and Greg and I have committed. Have we, Greg? We committed?
Yes, absolutely. We committed last week.
To be in Oslo for the Oslo Derby should Vålerenga go down and Lyn Oslo go up. So
there will be a Gambler betting podcast live from Norway at some point at the end of next season.
Yes, you heard it here first. So in terms of betting angle, Greg, you've got something that covers both the Vålerenga and the Sandefjord game.
I do. I was kind of torn between Vålerenga. Obviously, I'm a huge Vålerenga fan after their Nap win last week at even money. And again, there's nothing to go on. Vålerenga have been dire, absolutely dire this season. And to have, I guess, the confidence to back them at a Nap stake to win a must-win game away from home was great. So it was great for the channel to get that in. But huge win for them. It'll give them a bit of confidence for this game. They were 6-4 to win this match, Vålerenga. Now into 5-4. But as we just said, playing Tromsø are machines on the road. They really are. I do have a sneaky feeling Vålerenga will definitely get something from the match. Just they're at home. It's must win. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think they can get at least a point, which might do them or might not. But I don't see them losing this. So I think for me, quite a straightforward double. Sandefjord to win against Lillestrøm and Vålerenga double chance. and that pays just above 5-4. So a decent double there.
Yeah, I just want to quote David's message that he put in the group chat earlier in the week. Leo Strom hate Vålerenga, plus their manager left to go there. Absolute nailed-on win for Sandefjord to help send Vålerenga
That was enough
down.
for me.
Absolutely. And David, you're putting your money where your mouth is as well.
Yeah.
You've also got Sandefjord in a double this weekend.
I do, yeah. As I say, I just can't see anything other than a Sandefjord win. I just don't see Lillestrøm doing anything. I don't know if they'll play a weak team or if they'll just go out there and just let Sandefjord win. But doubling it up with Odd. Odd are at home to Ålesund this week. Ålesund, since they pretty much confirmed relegation 4 games ago, they've lost 6-1, 0-3, 1-0 at Bodø/Glimt and 0-4 last week at home to Viking. An absolute capitulation. It's fair to say that is, that's what 14 goals conceded, 1 scored in the last 4 games. So they travel to Odd, who not been in great form themselves, but a home game for them. I'd expect them to roll over Ålesund in the last game of the season to give their fans a happy send off into the winter. And so Odd and Sandefjord double pays 2.4. So that's my double for this week.
It's pretty decent.
75, David. 75.
75, sorry.
Before we leave the bottom of the table, I'm not letting these away without predicting who's going to finish in that automatic spot and who's going to finish in the playoff place. So, Greg, you can go first.
In the playoff spot, I am going to go for Stabæk.
Okay.
And I think Vålerenga will. Sorry, I'll start again. Yeah, Stabæk in the playoff spot and Vålerenga to go down.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I agree. I agree with that. That was what I was going to say as well.
So some consensus there.
And to be honest with you, it'd be great to see Vålerenga in the Obos-ligaen next year.
Get them on goals and corners next year for the boys.
It'll be an absolute massacre if they go down. They'll definitely come straight back up.
Yeah,
you'd imagine, and we get the Oslo derby. So I'm hoping that's the case.
I'm just hoping so we can do that Oslo trip, Greg. That's all I'm interested in.
We can do it anyway. We can go watch Koffa or Lillestrøm or Vålerenga or so many opportunities.
We do need to take in the YMCA boys as well, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's have a wee quick look at the top end of the table. We've already covered Tromsø's trip to Vålerenga. We've got Viking, who host Rosenborg. They're a fairly short price this weekend, as you would expect, against a Rosenborg team who have lost their last 2, so it's not as if they're going into this final game of the season in any great winning for them, David.
No, I think if Viking were going for the title, then Rosenborg would go there to try and upset them. But I just think because of the way Viking have collapsed and the way Rosenborg have just ended the last 2 games, I can't see anything other than a Viking win here.
You're suggesting quite a bit of skullduggery in this Norwegian league, David.
There's a lot of hate. No, I just can't see Rosenborg getting motivated enough to beat them. They've been really poor. The home game last week, there was a couple of club legends playing their last home game, and they couldn't even get up enough for that to beat Strømsgodset at home. So I can't see them going to Viking and getting anything. Viking have looked a lot better since they decided, since they can't win the league anymore. They've looked a lot better. So I can see Viking beating Rosenborg here. And what was it, 1.5? 1.44, yeah. So
4 to 9, yeah.
4 to 9. As part of a double, with something in the brand game, I'm happy to take on.
Okay, we'll get to the brand game now. Then, Greg, they have a 3-point cushion over Viking. Is that right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are in 4th. Sorry, it's getting so complicated at times now. So they're in pole position, obviously, but they go to Strømsgodset. Brann last week, Greg, cruising 4-0 against Bodø/Glimt. I think Bodø rested a few players, David.
They did. Pellegrino was on the bench.
Yeah.
Maybe that's about it. But to be honest, they just didn't look at it in the first half. It was at 4-0 at one point, and then they got a couple of goals back, which was nice because I had them on to score 2 goals in even money, so that was all good.
You did. It was a really good shout.
Yeah.
We spoke a lot about this game last week, and I think for me, I was aboard the brand train just in the fact that still stuff to play for. But David obviously knows Boro well and knows they score goals, so to still score 2, which was a great call.
Another 5 tonight in Europe, so they're still on the goal front. But I think Bran almost confirmed European spot, but that second place will be something that they're really keen to get after promotion. That'll be a really good achievement.
I guess the only note of caution in this game is that Strømsgodset, they've won 4 out of their last 5, and of those 4 wins, they've come against Tromsø and Viking, the other 2 teams who are vying for that final European spot. Yeah,
they've done a lot better recently. Strømsgodset finished the season pretty strongly, going to finish in the top half, which is a pretty impressive season, given their squad. Got quite a lot of young players, so good for the future for them. But I just think Bran, well, to be honest, I think Bran will win, but for me, part of the double is Bran to score 2 goals. It's something that they've done a lot this season. Basically, they've scored 55 goals, which is pretty good going for a team that's just come up from the second division. They scored 4 last week against Bodø/Glimt, 2 the week before, and I'm backing them to score at least 2 in this week at Strømsgodset as part of the double with Viking, which pays. I think it pays just over even money.
Yeah, not too dissimilar to your double, Greg.
Very similar. I'm getting a slightly better price, I think, because we're getting a better price on Bran to win the match rather than score 2 goals. And obviously, as you know, a huge advocate of backing teams to score 2, but I'm opting for the win here. I think that 4-2 win last weekend for Bran at home was just terrific, really good for them. And I know Strømsgodset have been good. I know they're decent at home. They're on a good run at the moment, but I think Bran will want to get the job done and be the best of the rest. And I think either way, with David's 2 goals, and if they do score 2 goals,
They'll win the game.
They'll win the game, yeah. And I think that doubled up with Viking, and I totally agree with David. There's absolutely no chance for me Rosenborg are going to go to Viking and get anything from the match. Their season is done.
Yeah. While we're just talking about like Bran and Viking and how well they've done, right? I just wanted to talk about some players because Bård has been brilliant this year. 16 goals coming up from the Oberst, 25 goal involvements, right? How far?
Like you, David. A bit like you.
Yeah. And what I want to ask you is, how far behind is he in the goal involvements and the goals plus assists? How far behind is he Amal Pellegrino?
He's got 25.
He's got 25.
Just in the league?
Yes, just in the league.
15.
Yeah. Not quite, but Amal Pellegrino has 37 goal involvements this year, 23 goals, 14 assists. Just 33 years old. What another incredible season.
So that was 15 Pellegrino. More. So he's got 37 in total.
37 total. So he's got 12 more than Bård. Can
we just talk about the goal of the season?
Yes.
Video as
well, I think David and I both were all over that today.
Yeah, add me to that list as well.
It's a great. I mean, honestly, it's the most aesthetically pleasing goal you'll see all season, and I love goals like that. He's not battered it. He's not shut his eyes and just hit it as hard as he can. He's taken a great first touch. His first touch has taken him back into play, going away from goal. And he's just wrapped his foot around it. It's just a glorious finish.
I saw somebody.
And to be fair, it's one. Sorry, David.
No, you go.
It's one of several brilliant goals in that. It's one of several brilliant goals in that video clip. It's definitely worth a look. Is it on your timeline, Greg?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, David's involved in it as well.
I just on that goal, the commentator says something like, "What a goal! An absolute trademark goal from Pellegrino." And I think, if you didn't watch him, you'd go like, how can that type of goal be a trademark goal? Like, it's such a good goal, but like, it's just total Pellegrino, like far corner.
Did they not score one from the halfway
line?
Well,
it's one from the halfway line. That was next on the reel, right? So it's part of the goal of the season. That was next on the reel.
That was at this season.
Now, he was in his own half, and don't get me wrong, it was a fantastic goal, but it's gone. I don't know how he's managed to score because it's the highest chip. It wasn't even a chip. It's gone to the moon and they come back down.
It's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, some player. But yeah, definitely worth a wee look if you're on either David or Greg's timeline. You'll find it there. It's a wee show reel of some of the best goals in the Eliteserien this season. Okay, as I say, we'll wrap up. Well, we've got one more thing to just mention on Norway, and that is that what do we call this? It's listed on Flashscore as the final playoff
final
of Obosligaen,
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, which is between Kongsvinger and Kristiansund, and Greg last week's
Oh,
debacle
dearie me.
left you absolutely raging.
Really fancied start last week. Really fancied them. We talked about why we fancied them. Best home record in the league along with Fredrikstad. Most goals scored at home against Brunna. We got a great price. 2 bets for that match. Then I'm sitting here. I was actually in Edinburgh in the pub after the Saints Hearts game, checking the phone, and it came into in play. So great. 6:15, due to start at 6 o'clock. Nothing yet, and it disappeared. And I spoke to David, and they initially had issues with the undersill heating, which I believe wasn't turned on. But over to you.
They didn't turn it on. They didn't turn it on. So yeah, Start did not turn the undersill heating on, and they were warming up, and then the refs decided it was not safe. And so yeah, it was quite strange. I think there was chat that they were going to play the next day in at Odds Stadium in Sheehan as a kind of halfway house, but by the time it got to around midday the next day and there was still no decision, it became pretty clear that they were going to kick Start out. And
that's amazing for a whole season's worth of work. I don't think that would happen here. I don't believe for a second that would happen in Scotland. If that happened here, they would not do that.
Incredible.
I was stunned to understand a season's worth of work gone because they didn't put undersill heating on.
Absolutely incredible. I'm very surprised it didn't go to the next day and just be like, right, you're playing Sunday, get on with it.
Absolutely. But the Kristiansund game last night. The Kristiansund game last night, 1-1 full time, went to extra time, and Kristiansund through.
2 in penalties, yeah. 4-2 in penalties, yeah. So tough game for them going to Kongsvinger on Sunday, but winning of that will play Stabæk because they're going to finish 14th.
Oh no, Stabæk, actually. Stabæk. Yeah, I did forget to ask you who you think would finish second and third, but I'm guessing that it will be as is, based on the fact that you think Vålerenga are going to go down, which means that Troms will win, and also your tips include Brann and Viking to win their games. So yeah, I think we'll just finish as is, David.
Yeah, I mean, Greg is back in the double chance of Vålerenga, and I think that game will finish with 1 goal either way. Whether Vålerenga get it or Tromsø get it, I think it's going to be a really tight game. I can see them losing out, drawing with Vålerenga and losing out on goal difference, and that would be a real shame given the season that they've had. I can definitely see that happening.
Okay, plenty to keep an eye on this weekend in Norway. Let's have a wee look at Scotland. Greg, as we say, I don't think there's going to be too much on. The games in the top flight might well survive.
Possibly. I know that Kilmarnock have got undersill heating for their plastic pitch on Saturday.
Under plastic.
And St Johnstone will be fine against Celtic. Hibs v Aberdeen will be fine. And who else is playing on Sunday?
Rangers St Mirren.
Rangers St Mirren, yeah. So Paisley will be fine as well. So there'll be 4 games played probably. Question marks over Livingston, who had a game postponed last year due to frost, despite having a plastic pitch. But down the leagues, any grass pitch is going to be called off, and I'd still expect some of the AstroTurf pitches to be called off as well. They still get frozen, believe it or not. So we're not going to spend. I'm not going to spend time and effort going through what we normally go through, because ultimately these games are not going to go ahead. But what we can do, we'll touch upon last week, and we'll just run through some of the games we have highlighted on the channel in case they are on. But saying that, there is one of them from the Premiership. I'm sure that will go ahead on Saturday.
Yeah. So yeah, before we have a look at those, Greg, it was quite a good weekend last week, and it's given us quite a strong end to the month on the channel.
Yeah, Saturday's been really good on the channel, especially in Scotland, but we've finished November really strongly. We had 3 winners again on Saturday. The main bets on the Saturday in Scotland are going really well. So we had Cove again. They were probably the best bet of the weekend, 11 to 10 to score 2.
Actually, Jeanfield Swifts were the best bet of the weekend. Clyde to beat Jeanfield Swifts.
So that came in. We had corners double between Dundee and Hibs, and Hearts to get corners as well. And we had I think a lower league goals bet up in England. But ultimately, this weekend's decimated. However, looking at the matches, you've got Ross County travel to Livingston. Now, Derek Adams has just taken over, a point in his first game and 3 points on Tuesday night against away day struggler St Mirren. The rot has well and truly set in, hopefully, away from home for St Mirren. They're away to Perth next week, away St Johnstone next week, so that'll be an interesting game. But Ross County tails are up, great for corners. They got another 7 on Tuesday night. They got 9 against Kilmarnock. They've been really good to us on the channel. And as we know, Livingston are an absolute freefall, and I am loving it. We've got them to finish bottom at 8-1 and bottom 2 5-2. So there's a potential 20-point win there, just off Livy finishing bottom. A long way to go. However,
they're in the mix.
They're absolutely in the mix, and they will be in the mix right up until the last game of the season.
Yeah, I was gutted about the Ross County one. As you know, I was very keen on them last weekend, back to them, and then obviously they drew, and I missed them against them in midweek. So I still think they're a good price at 2-1 this weekend, Greg.
Yeah, I must admit, I totally agree. Livingston have lost their last 6 games, scoring 1 goal. Things aren't looking good at the Tony Macaroni Arena. So 2-1 for Ross County, I think it's a very attractive price, but more than happy to get on Ross County corners. To get 4 corners and to double chance is 21-20, which I think is a great shout.
Yeah, it's not bad. I just want to kind of recap some of the Livy stats that quoted last week by adding a 1 to everything. So now 6 straight defeats. They've now not scored in the last 5. It's now just 1 goal in the last 10 from open play. Overall, it's 1-1 in 12, 1-1, drawn 3 and lost 8. And I just think, again, that new manager bounce with Derek Adams, I just think 2-1 just looks like a price that you've kind of got to take on. But yeah.
Well, yeah, you've got a choice. Well. You've got 5-4 for Livy or 2-1 for Ross County. It's an absolute no-brainer, given how Livy are doing. And plus, Ross County have definitely got a lift since Derek Adams came in. And I think they're well-deserved winners, I think, against St Mirren on Tuesday.
Yeah. David, I know Greg had kind of pre-warned you that most of these games are going to be off and you don't have too many notes on these, so feel free to jump in at any time. We're going to have a quick
I scored a winner for Queen of the South in a 2-1 win against Derek Adams Ross County back in 2011. So,
wonderful.
That's about all I've got.
If that's all you want to jump in and just tell us how many goals you've scored against each team, that's absolutely fine.
I won't be on very long.
Greg, let's just very quickly look at the other fixtures. Kilmarnock via Hearts. We always kind of speak about how good Killie are at home. We speak about how bad Hearts are away. Hearts have actually won 3 and lost 3 away from home. Killie haven't won away at all at home all season, but they have won 4 and drawn 2 of their 7 games at Rugby Park. I guess the one thing that puts me off Kilmarnock is the form of Lawrence Shank at the moment.
Well, he wasn't that great last week, and he somehow managed to be
the winner.
No, did he? I thought it was Boyce that scored.
No.
Well, apart from that,
Did you have a good weekend, mate?
It was a long day. Well, okay, he scored, but other than that, I'm not just saying this because I'm biased, but he wasn't involved at all in the game. But you're absolutely right. He's in good scoring form for club and country in the Scotland mix now as well. I don't think this is a game anyone can get involved in. I really don't. Possibly corners, because Kilmarnock do okay at home for corners. Hearts actually do really well for corners this season, home and away. But I think Hearts are in a great position based on the fact that the league's that poor. And I know that Stephen Naismith's on the verge of probably getting Manager of the Month for November, which is well deserved. They're unbeaten in November. I don't think Hearts fans are too pleased with how they're playing. I think they're maybe expecting a bit more in terms of expansive football and free-flowing football and entertainment, but they're getting the job done. They're winning games. But Killie at home, though, tough. Very, very tough. So give yourself peace and look for something else, really. This is not a match to be getting involved in.
Yeah, I've got another 2 games that are like that this weekend, I think. Motherwell at home with Dundee. Motherwell got a massive point for them last weekend. Still winless in 10, but that's kind of kept the Wolves from the door a wee bit as far as Stuart Getwell's concerned.
Oh, it totally does. I think we spoke last week. Had they come into this match off the back of this game, off the back of a hiding, then David will know this, the morale around the club will be totally different, but that's a massive lift for the players getting a draw there, and they'll maybe fancy their chances against Dundee. But Dundee themselves having a really good season, I guess a lot better at home than away. like a lot of clubs in the league. I wouldn't like to call a winner in this match, but I do think we'll see goals. I think there's goals in this game.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes for how Dundee have done that you're actually quite surprised to see Hibs go and win there at Dens Park last week.
Yeah, totally. Hibs are a bit of Jekyll and Hyde at the moment, but that was a great win for Hibs last week. Really, really good win against a really good Dundee team.
So speaking of Hibs, they host Aberdeen. Aberdeen have drawn 2-2 in Finland tonight, which I guess a fairly decent result again. I think they rested a few players in their starting 11. The notes I've got is do not touch in this game. Hibs at even money, Aberdeen at 23-10. One thing that did interest me a wee bit was just looking back at Hibs' form. Now, Lee Johnson gets the sack just before the second leg of the Aston Villa game. Since then, they've played 13 games. They've only lost 2 of those, Greg.
They have, yeah. That was probably to
Rangers and Aberdeen. Aberdeen in the Cup, yeah.
This is a really difficult one to call. If I had to pick one, I would definitely pick Hibs on the basis that they didn't play tonight. And see what you like. Aberdeen's team tonight was obviously a bit of a rotated squad playing tonight, but still a tough gig playing away on a Thursday night and playing on a Sunday. And Hibs will be fresh from last week's win against Dundee. I did look at Hibs goals to score 2, and I think potentially match goals is a good shout as well in this game. Over 2.5 match goals.
Hibs to score 2 looks pretty good. Like they did it at Dundee, did it at St Mirren as well, and the home at Ross County as well. So that's 3 of the last 4 games. And if you look at Aberdeen, they conceded obviously 6 at Celtic, conceded 2 even in a 4-2 win at Motherwell, and conceded 2 in a 2-0 defeat to Kelly. So yeah, decent result against Rangers last week, but coming from Helsinki where they conceded another 2, I think 2 Hibs goals at even money looks pretty decent.
The thing with this match as well is Aberdeen, you don't really know what Aberdeen side are going to turn up, because at times this season they've been really good, Aberdeen, especially in Europe, but other times they've been absolutely woeful.
Greg, it's December and they're 10th in the table.
Yeah,
I know. Really bad, isn't it? That cup final was really giving him a bit of breathing space alongside some decent performances in Europe. But they need to start picking up points, or it's going to become to the point where they're that far behind the teams pushing for 3rd and 4th that Aberdeen fans aren't going to accept that.
Yeah.
And they won't accept a defeat on Sunday, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah. Celtic and Rangers both play on Sunday as well. Greg, Celtic are at St Johnstone. Coupon buster last weekend, I guess. You know, everyone would have been piling into Celtic and maybe
Celtic corners though, Paul. Celtic corners.
Many was
first half corners. 6 in the first half.
I don't even.
They got 12 in the match.
Right, so that was 12, and I think they got 11 against Aberdeen at home as well. So definitely something to look out for. Defeat in Rome again, Champions League, albeit I thought it did well for 80 minutes until they conceded. I don't know if you're going on Sunday, Greg, but no, okay. Do you give St Johnstone much of a chance here?
Not really. I think defensively we've been a lot better in recent weeks. We're not shipping as many goals. I thought we played okay against Hearts last week. We limited Hearts to very few chances, a lot of long range shots and goal. Hearts fans may differ, but if we'd gotten a draw in that match, I don't think it would have been a robbery of any stretch of the imagination. Our problem is that we don't score goals. We do not create enough chances, and that's something that Craig Levein knows he needs to rectify in the January transfer window. Just really toothless going forward. Obviously, it's the same with Livingston. So it's no surprise to see the 2 sides who've got the least attacking threat in the league, both of them occupying the bottom 2 spots in the league. And I think this is probably a comfortable Celtic win. Some may argue that we might get the wrath of Celtic dropping points last week and obviously losing on in Rome in the Champions League during the midweek. So, and Celtic's record against us as well, it's quite horrible really for St Johnstone fans. That record's tremendous. They don't lose very often in Perth. So I'm not going to have a bet in this match, but you have to imagine a very comfortable away win.
Yeah, and Rangers playing tonight as well as we're recording. They're currently 1-1 at Ibrox in the Europa League. They host St Mirren on Sunday, and St Mirren have really lost the momentum that they seemed to have earlier in the season, Greg.
They have, and I think that's down to the fact they've played a couple of away games. They lost heavily at Dundee 2 weeks ago, which is a sore one, and they were due that, to be fair. They were due a bad result. But to then follow that up with a really poor performance away to St Mirren, they've got a big win at home against Livingston. So I think for St Mirren, their home form is going to do them really well this season, and they'll still be looking. They're still in a great place. Let's be honest. They're still in a fantastic position in the league, but they really need to sort that away form out. And you're not going to finish third or fourth with a rubbish away form as much as your home form is good. So I don't hold out much hope for St Mirren on Sunday. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think Rangers were particularly impressive at Aberdeen last weekend away. Tavernier penalty. It's now 7 for the season for Tavernier. And as I say, they're being held at home in the Conference League tonight. I just think they're kind of a different animal at Ibrox most of the time, aren't they?
Yeah, they don't drop many points at home, do they? And I think even if they are kind of some performance-wise, they'll still get the job done.
Yeah.
I think whatever happens here, you'd have to expect 3 points, but I don't think there'll be much of an angle here for me.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, as we say, we don't expect many lower league games to go ahead, but yeah, I've got a couple of bets up on the channel which we'll just touch on before we wrap up, Greg. First of those is that Ayr United, they host Arbroath. Arbroath said goodbye to Dick Campbell this week, one of the characters of Scottish football. When I say goodbye, he's not dead. He just left his position. I don't know if he was the longest or second longest serving manager, Greg.
I think he was the longest, I think. Was it longest or second longest?
Jim McNally still at Peterhead? I don't know.
He was there for a long time, wasn't he? A long time.
So yeah, you fancy, obviously it's been a rotten run for Arbroath, 6 defeats in a row, knocked out of both cups, and you just fancy it to capitalise on that.
Well, a couple of things. One, Arbroath played on Tuesday and lost 3-0 away to Dunfermline. Number 2, they're managerless. Number 3, they're absolutely hemorrhaging goals, Arbroath. I think it's 17 in their last 4 or 5 games they've conceded. Arbroath, a shocking number. Ayr are due a home win. Let's be clear about that. Ayr are most definitely due a home win. They're 8-11 now. Ayr, we got them just a shade low evens, I think at 19-20. So again, this match probably won't go ahead, but as we say every week, we kind of beat the closing line every single week on the channel. If I'm putting it up at 5-4, it's going off at 4-6. And that pretty much happens to every bet we put up in Scotland. This game is no different. 19-20 for Ayr, now 8-11. I spoke to Stuart Wilson today. He doesn't expect the game to go ahead. There's parts of the pitch that don't get any sunlight and they're really frozen already. So it's a real shame because I would have really fancied Ayr. But let's speak about in terms of the match does go ahead. Ayr to win, 8-11 now. I probably wouldn't back them at 8-11 to be honest with you. The kind of price has gone a little bit on that, but I guess that's the benefit of being on the channel.
And since David's with us, let's ask him if he's ever scored a winner at Ayr United or Arbroath.
No, I got promoted. No, I didn't get promoted at Arbroath for beating in the semis, but I did score against Dick Campbell's for Falkirk in a 4-0 win. So, you know,
that shows you how long Dick Campbell's been around.
Yeah. That was a bit later. That was 2013, I think. Yeah,
that's not too bad. It's only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the other bet you've got up on the channels in League 2, again, Stenhousemuir, more kind of central belt, but I just don't know if that one's going to go ahead either. They host Bonnyrigg.
Well, yeah, Stenny playing plastic pitch, so I'm not sure. But let's pretend it is going to go ahead. And Stenny are having a fantastic season now. League leaders, obviously it's very, very tight in League 2. And it's not a league we tend to dive into too often. However, at home, they're at home against a Bonnyrigg side who just can't defend. And the fact as well, Stenny have won their last 4 on the spin, scoring 3-2, 3-3 in those victories. Matt Aitken scored 5 goals across those 4 games. And I think Stenny have now scored 2 or more goals now in 5 of their last 6 at home. So in great form, look, a very strong selection for me against Bonnyrigg, who have now, I think they've shipped 2 goals in each of their last 6 league matches. And they've also lost 2 goals against each of the 3 clubs above them. So Peterhead, Spartans and Dumbarton, all vying for places alongside Stenny in terms of promotion. This is probably the toughest it gets for Bonnyrigg, I would say. And there's a very good chance Stenny collect another 2 goals in this game. And if they do, add double chance to that. And that pays 20-23. And that's probably our main bet from the lower leagues in Scotland. And what I would say as well is at 20-23, it's now, I think, 4-5. So still backable at 4-5 in this one.
Yeah, it's a good angle on a team that are 8-15.
No, just on Stenny. Tough place to go, Oakview. I scored there for Queen's Park. And my wife saw me score there for Brecon. One of the very few goals my wife's seen me score. So that's.
I thought you said she scored there. I thought fantastic.
Yeah, they're not.
So yeah, he scored a few goals there for Queen's Park and Brecon.
We should have
goals.
We should have a separate kind of "This Is Your Life" podcast with you, David, and you can tell us about all the places that you've.
We'll do that for the 10th year anniversary. We're halfway through it almost, so 5 years time, David, we'll get a "This Is Your Life" and testimonial, a gambler testimonial. One thing I would like to do is, I know we give a lot of stick out on the podcast, and it's universal. No one's safe from any criticism, and it's usually warranted. But I think we've got to point out that Cove Rangers have been the form team in Scotland now for the past month. What a turnaround there's been there at Cove since probably the start of October. Bearing in mind they were kind of down with Queen of the South. It was a must-win match for both sides. They won that 1-0. They've won 7 games in a row now. They're 10 games unbeaten, won 7 games in a row, through to the next round of the Scottish Cup, and they're 8 points behind Hamilton. But they're now 25 points and very much look like they'll be an absolute banker now for the playoffs. So well done, Cove Rangers.
5-1 at Falkirk this weekend.
I know honestly, I wouldn't be backing Falkirk in that game, given the price they are and how good Cove have been. But again, if it goes ahead, I wouldn't be touching Falkirk at that price.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, I think that's us.
I think we've talked enough
for this week. Can you just give us a wee recap of your bets both in Norway, David, and both Norway and Scotland, Craig? If you can start, David.
Yeah, start on Sunday. I'll start with the Eliteserien bookings double in the Haugesund Stabæk game. Kevin Kriegord and Curtis Edwards both to get booked. That was around 25-1. Also the Sandefjord and Odd double, both to win. That pays 2.4. And there was the Brand to score 2 and Viking to beat Rosenborg. That was a double. That was 2.16.
And Greg?
From me, I've got kind of 3 bets lined up, starting off the Haugesund Stabæk match, and I'm taking over 10.5 match corners at 11-10. I'm also taking a Brann and Viking double at 7-5. And finally, Sandefjord to win and Vålerenga double chance at 5-4. And just on that note, last chance to get involved in the goal before 30 minutes market in the Eliteserien this weekend. There was 5 out of 8 games last weekend that had a goal scored in the first 10 minutes. I had quite a few members contacting me to say they backed 5 and got 4 right. So I think it was £150 for a £3 stake on that 5-fold and 4-fold. So again, worthwhile doing this weekend, especially on the games that matter. Yeah. There's enough games this weekend to get involved in.
Yeah.
And into Scotland at the moment, I've got Ross County over 3.5 match corners and double chance at 21-20, and Steinhousemuir to score 2 and double chance at 20-23.
Yeah, fingers crossed we get some games going ahead in Scotland anyway, Greg. Okay, thanks very much, guys. We don't forget you can follow Greg on Twitter at Browning84Greg. And I think the Black Friday offer is still live, Greg, until midnight on the 31st of November.
Yeah, it's been really good. Did you say the 31st of November?
Yeah.
It's not a day,
in November, but
it doesn't exist. It's forever early.
But yeah, that's today's the last day. And do you know what? We've had a really great response to it. I think pretty much everyone who took last year's annual Black Friday offer has renewed, which is fantastic. And I think we've had quite a few new sign-ups as well. And if you signed up last week when the offer came out, I think you've probably paid for your subscription for the year already, given how the last kind of week or so has gone. So yeah, it's been a great end to November.
Yeah, I think we might need to extend it after my faux pas to at least the 1st of December anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we might have to do that. And David, thank you very much for joining us for this season on the podcast. It's been really appreciated. And we'll obviously get
I'm available to sub in for Scottish chat.
Yes, David, don't you worry, sir. He will be involved in the Scottish podcast.
If you can just give us a list of all the places that you've scored goals in, we'll make sure we shoehorn them in. But no, I really appreciate your contributions this season. It's been brilliant, and it's been a thrilling season in Eliteserien and Oberliga. And just hope we get a fitting climax this weekend as well.
Sure, I think we will. I think we'll get something good going on.
And I guess for me, a big thanks to everyone that listens to the podcast. This is our 4th season now. We've been doing the Norwegian podcast. We've focused a little bit more this year on the lower leagues, and I think between David and I, we did pretty well on finding a bit of value, some good team news as well in the lower leagues, especially on the B teams. So same again next year. Hopefully come back bigger and better.
Yeah, indeed. So that's us for this week's podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching if you're on YouTube as well. And best of luck with your bets this weekend.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Guys. Have a good one.